It kind of helps if I have. Oh gosh, I just realized I've been muted the whole time. So sorry. Wow, I'm sorry. I just realized I was muted the whole time. Uh, Pro streamer. Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, so sorry about that. Um, the story that we're going to be reading, we're going to be finishing tonight, the final chapter of Redemption. The next series that we're going to be moving into is called To Save a Galaxy. The first story of which is called Behind Enemy Lines, and has 3 chapters. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome in. I appreciate you being here this evening. I was just reminding chat that I'm a total noob and apparently was muted for the first 16 minutes of stream. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know how I got muted, but anyway. So we're reading the final chapter of... yeah, pro streamer, totally. It's been a busy day. Can you tell? So we're reading the final chapter of Redemption this evening, and then the next series that we're going to jump into is called To Save a Galaxy, which has 2 stories. First of which is called Behind Enemy Lines. It's really short. Never actually got finished. And then the second story in that series is called Age of Darkness, which is very long. It's 42 chapters. Yeah. Yeah, I happened to glance sideways at my mic and realized, because my mic is literally right here. You can't see it because green screen, but it's literally right here. You probably heard me tapping it. So yeah, I realized I was muted, which is weird because I was pretty sure I had unmuted myself. Anyway, pro streamer. Never claimed to be, professional at this. I'm just having fun. Yes. I'm still learning a lot. I'm never claiming to be perfect. I actually went live on Sunday and didn't change the stream title from the last one, so that was fun. And welcome into the stream. I appreciate you being here. My name is Meshla. I am primarily an audiobook streamer. I write and read my own Star Wars fanfiction. Have been doing so cooperatively for the last, 16, been writing for the last 24 years. Wrote cooperatively for, I'd say about 16 or 17. Yeah, it's started actually writing cooperatively when I was in high school. And the last 4 or 5 years, since everybody else has kind of moved on, I basically am continuing the stories with most of my characters, still utilizing some of the other characters to kind of keep the story moving. But it's just me at this point, so it's taking a lot longer to kind of work through where I want the stories to go. If you do any writing of your own, I'm sure you're very familiar with that struggle. So it's definitely an ongoing process for me. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. At least it's not Monday. Yes. Welcome in. Queen Negan, I think your name is? Yeah. Yeah, I write primarily Star Wars fanfic. I have dabbled in some Anna Harrington, a couple of other things, but I really found my niche in Star Wars fanfiction. Literally started writing when I was in high school. So that should give you a clue. Oh, okay. My bad. I don't watch The Walking Dead, so cool. Negan. Okay. I like that. You can call me Mesh or Meshla, whichever is fine. Yeah, I have the same problem with my actual name. constantly. So yeah, I was, as I was telling chat when I was actually muted, so I'm gonna repeat myself. It's hard for me to believe that I'm actually to the end point of this story as far as reading it goes. A lot of these stories, up until I started editing them to read them on stream, I hadn't touched them at all, except for kind of reading on my own, probably in about a decade. Mainly had been just kind of maintaining them. Archivist, kind of why I named my stream the Galactic Archives, because I like to kind of keep them for posterity. So we're to the end of Redemption, which is the second story in the second series. The first series is called Reflections of a... No, Healer Quadrilogy, sorry. First series is called The Healer Quadrilogy, so 4 stories. That was the very first Star Wars fanfictions I ever wrote back in high school. So yeah, you'll probably see, if you go back and read those, you'll probably see some differences in grammar and kind of syntax and that kind of stuff. Because it was a group of 5 or 6 of us, including myself, writing, and I was in high school. So grammar is a little rough. If you're interested at all and would like to read them on your own to kind of catch up, I'd be happy if you did so. My links to my archive of our own are actually in the about info, or we can do this right here. So, oh nice, that's excellent. That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be really, really cool if you were able to get that published. Oh, and I can't type. Let's try that again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, pro streamer today. I'm having a day. Alright. But welcome in. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoy tonight's stream. And like I said, if you'd like to read them later on your own, the link is there in the chat. So feel free if you like. I appreciate you. Grab a snack, grab some water, and get cozy, because we're going to get to reading here in just a minute. Just going to shift some stuff around on my screen here. And if you ever see me looking off to the left, it's because I have a second monitor right there. I like to have what I'm reading directly in front of me. So yeah, if you see me kind of looking off to the corner, it's because I have a second monitor over there. There we go. Thank you, Frosty Tools. Gives you a little bit of information about the stories. That's okay, my AO3 handle isn't Meshla either. I could change it, but that's a lot of work. It breaks all kinds of links, and so I just decided I wouldn't bother changing it. Oh, sorry about that. I'm glad I actually muted. If you see me coughing or anything like that, it's because I'm still suffering the after effects of COVID, which I was dealing with middle of August. So it's still hanging around a little bit, like ungrateful child or whatever. Yes. Oh, sure. Feel free. Lurking is perfectly fine. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy. Alright. So we are finishing out Redemption this evening. And so we are starting with chapter 17. We'll see how far we get. Probably won't be the whole stream, but yeah. Also, if the music is too loud and you can't hear me, please tell me. I'm still struggling with levels. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit on my end, because, there we go. I don't want to blow my eardrums. Alright. Okay. Alrighty. Just as a kind of general note, I do have section headers, so I tried to read those so people know where we're at location-wise in the story. I haven't yet found a better way to do the transitions for those, so please bear with. Coruscant, Jedi Temple, Master's Residency. Brought the family, I noticed, Anar said as he stayed seated and looked over the skyline beyond. Stefan slowly came in behind him, noticed the almost empty bottle of Coruscant whiskey, and picked it up, swallowing the last. Hey, Anar told him. That was mine. I needed it too, Stefan said as he sat down beside his friend. The battle still in your mind? I can't go back to this, Stefan, Anar told him as he looked down at his lap. After Kate's death, knowing what I was almost capable of doing, I don't need to put myself in that position again. And I understand, Stefan said. The battle left us with too few Jedi as it is. We have a lot of young ones from the Academy that will have to step up to the challenges. But they can't do this without a new understanding. What are you saying? Stefan looked to the horizon before turning towards his friend. I'm going to begin a new Praxium. I'm more open-minded with the concepts others and I have been exploring, especially Mick. You can't! I told you last year that I'd always thought of that of the Force, Stefan told him. It won't be easy, but I would like you to come with me. I can't. Not yet, anyway, Anar said as he looked back along the horizon. I still have my grieving to do, and my own path to ponder. I would expect no less, Stefan said as he stood up and helped his friend to his feet. Come on, Jade's fixing us all something to eat before the ceremony. You look like you could use a good meal. Okay. Coruscant Medical Center. Ari was silent for a moment. Lady Phoenix. I like the sound of that almost better than General Din, she thought to herself, smiling. She looked up at her husband and took his hand. Call Turlon and Callista. They can help you steady yourself as I walk you through our connection in drawing on the Phoenix. She told him quietly, inhaling deeply as she considered her decision to have her husband help her heal herself. Stay! What? Hi! Yo! Stay Alive 7, sir. Welcome into the stream. Oh my goodness, all these people. Actually, a lot of you I recognize. Welcome in. For those who may not know me, my name is Meshla. I am primarily an audiobook streamer, although I do dabble into some SWTOR every once in a while. And tonight I am reading the last chapter of my story titled Redemption. Oh my goodness, all these people. Lots of people. So welcome in. My goodness. That's a lot of people. What? Oh my. That's a hype train. I don't have any fancy alerts for hype train. I'm sorry. My goodness. Thank you for the follows and all of you awesome people. Mortargeist, sir, and stay. And my bot does not know how to pronounce your name. Sassy Penny. Darling Sunshine. Let's see. Oh hey, my cat is actually doing the thing. Oh my goodness. Ajo, you stinker. Thank you, sir. My goodness. All kinds of people. Oh, awesome. All right. Oh, let's see. Shadow, Sassy Penny, Stay, Scion, Darling Sunshine, Mortargeist, and Dorizen, and Stitch Doll, and oh my goodness, All kinds of people. My goodness. My goodness. And Ivory Taurine Sir. It's actually going well, considering that I actually started stream muted for the first like 15 minutes. Yeah, pro streamer. For those who may not know, Stay Alive 7, thank you for that cheer. For those who may not know Stay Alive 7, he is a full-time streamer and content creator. He's part of the SWTOR content creator program, and he has recently been playing Star Wars Outlaws. He is also the leader of the Survivor Squad, and he has so graciously rated my channel. I don't get rated very often, so thank you, sir. I appreciate you. And thank you for those gifted subs from Ajo, and for all of the new follows, and everybody who's here tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I am reading the final chapter of my story Redemption, which is chapter 17. I was a little bit in when you guys wandered in, but that's okay. I will pick up where I left off. Welcome in. Grab a snack, grab a drink, get cozy. We're gonna read. Thank you all for being here this evening. And thank you so much for those gifted subs and the bits and all the cheers. I appreciate it very, very much. I'm not used to actually being rated. It's kind of rare for me, so it's a little bit disconcerting, so I really appreciate it. Alright, and if you cannot hear me very well, please say something in chat. I'm still working on my audio levels, so please tell me. Alright. Alrighty. I'm gonna start back at the beginning of the section because you guys came in. Okay. But yes, if you cannot hear me, please tell me. I've been playing with my audio levels for a while, trying to get them sorted just right. So, yeah. Alrighty. I'm gonna get some water again. Scion, don't be mean. I see that, Kappa. Hey, I spent the first 15 minutes of stream muted. Okay, just saying. I don't know what was going on. Like, whatever. Because literally my mic is, like, right here. So I must have bumped it or something. That doesn't work in here, Mortargeist. Sorry. Yes. Yes. Very much so. I kind of feel the same way. I'm not gonna lie. Alright. You guys can feel free to play with all the toys. Thank you so much for that hype train, you guys. Thank you. Very, very much for that hype train. Aw, that's okay. It's never too late to start again. Thank you guys so... Yeah, I kind of figured that's what that was. Thank you so very much for that level 1 hype train. Very much appreciated. I don't get hype trains very often. I think it's only happened like once. So, thank you. Yeah. And if I don't know that you're... Oh, we're in an ad. Oh, thank you. I'm glad I fixed that. I had to go in and change all of my ad settings because they updated some stuff. So, yeah. If I missed greeting anybody, I apologize. There was a lot of people that just came in. I'm trying to keep up, and I'm not actually sure if I have a mod right now. I don't. This is gonna be fun. I try to shout out the streamers that or the people that I know that do actually stream, but I can't always keep track of that either. Um, we do also have an ad coming up in about 30 minutes, so just be aware of that. Hey, you know what? You gotta start somewhere. Um, Literally, when I first started streaming, I I started reading, you know, and I was so scared the first time I hit go live. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it was really scary. Um, so I generally do a lot of reading. I do some workshop streams, which is actually what I did on Sunday. And workshop streams, I do really like. My intent for those is to open it up to the community as well, for people to bring in their own content. But a lot of the time lately has been spent editing chapters for what I'm going to read, so that's also what it's for. Um, so hey, stream what you like, have fun. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I read, I play SWTOR. Thank you for that lurk. I appreciate you. We have an ad coming in a couple of minutes, so I'm just gonna try and read a little bit before the ad pops in. I do apologize for the ads. They're a minute and a half long. I unfortunately can't really do much about the fact that we have them. So I apologize. They do help support the channel. If you enjoy the content and would like to support the channel in other ways, I would appreciate that if you can and are able to do so. You can support in a multitude of ways. You can subscribe directly to the channel if you like. You can use your free Prime subscription, which you get one per month. You have to manually renew it, but you do get one free subscription to use on Twitch per month. It's a tier 1. Or you could also subscribe to Twitch Turbo, which basically removes all the ads all across Twitch and helps you support any streamer you happen to visit. So it's pretty cool. I think it's like $12 a month or something for that. It's helpful. And it does put some money towards the individual streamers as well. So I can turn myself up, but I also don't want to blast people's eardrums. So yes, if you are having trouble hearing me, I did just turn up my volume. Please just let me know in chat if you are having difficulty hearing me. Like I said, I am continually fighting with the audio monsters and having my levels be good. So please tell me if you cannot hear me. So, especially because I am reading. Alright. Oh, it looks like the ad is done. Cool. Okay, I did turn myself up a little bit, so hopefully that will help. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I actually fight with that as well. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I'm gaming, I don't run music because I actually depend on the game sounds to tell me what's going on. So I can identify with that quite a lot, actually. Alright, so we're gonna pick up where I'm gonna go back to the top of the section where we were when everybody came in. Alright. I'm also not a very loud person, so I'm got my mic literally, if you could see my hand. Oh, we're getting an ad. Sorry, guys. Yes. While we're in the ad, if you want to take the time, get a drink of water, get a stretch, get a snack. It's a great time to do that because you have a minute and a half. So I'm going to not read until we are back from our ad. All right. Alrighty. Alrighty. There's all kinds of people in here. All right. We are officially back from our ad. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate you. I hope you took the opportunity to get some water, get a stretch, grab a snack. So hopefully you're back and settled. And now we can get back to reading. All right. So we're reading Redemption chapter 17, and we're starting on the next section. Coruscant Medical Center. Ari was silent for a moment. Lady Phoenix. I like the sound of that almost better than General Din, she thought to herself. She looked up at her husband and took his hand. Call Turlon and Callista. They can help you steady yourself as I walk you through our connection and drawing on the Phoenix, she told him quietly, inhaling deeply as she considered her decision to have her husband help her heal her body. She had healed herself numerous times before without trouble. Still, the night she had laid in bed on mist with Micron and Brink at her side, she had attempted to heal herself like before. She found that she had only driven herself deeper into exhaustion, the fiery bird slowly returning to her, but it too had been exhausted, and thus she had been unable to heal herself. Someone fresh in strength, not battle-weary like her, could draw on the great fiery bird for the rapid healing she needed. Her grandson, adopted granddaughter, and husband would have to do, even though they too were still tired from the war. Will do, Micron said as he began to step out of the medical room. Tell them to meet me in my office. I don't want to do it here, in the medical wing where everyone can see me like this, she called after him. He stopped in his tracks and looked over at her, knowing that because she was about to retire from the New Republic Navy for good, she didn't want anyone, especially the younger officers, to see her like this, at her moment of weakness when she couldn't even walk. He nodded and thumped his comm to summon Turlon and Callista to the office. General Silfar was in his naval dress uniform in preparation for Ari's retirement ceremony. He was seated cross-legged in one of the office chairs. He rose to his feet and his mouth fell open when he saw Micron carrying Ari into her office. Move aside, General. You're in my way. Micron pushed past the aging general with his wife in his arms. See? What did I tell you? He's here to complain to me about you, Ari mentally sent to her husband. Thank you, Sarah Bot. I appreciate you. Commander Din, is that any way to greet a superior officer? I want to speak with you about your little stunt this morning. General Silfar's apparent anger showed as he stepped out of Micron's way and followed behind as Micron entered the connecting parlor suite to Ari's office. Oh, Farrell, stow it, Ari called over her shoulder, giving Silfar a commanding look. He only did what he did to get me grounded as soon as possible, and if you are going to bitch about military professionalism, I didn't see you salute me when I entered the room. Farrell Silfar swallowed hard. Sorry, ma'am, but Commander Din's actions violated security clearances and classified information. Micron set Ari down on her half-back chaise lounge and stood beside her, his arms crossed, as he raised his eyebrows at the aging general. And I will see to it personally that the information is not divulged in any way or form, General. You have nothing to worry about from my husband, Ari snapped. But, Silfar began. But nothing, Farrell. If there is any more talk of this, I will see you removed from your command. I still have power for a few more hours to demote and reassign you, Ari threatened. Yes, ma'am. Terribly sorry, ma'am. I know, right? Yes, ma'am. Terribly sorry, ma'am. Silfar blundered through a quick apology. General, some of the Joint Chiefs are wondering why you have chosen to promote Colonel Maxwell to your position as head of New Republic Galactic Defense. Colonel Turner of Corellia would be a better choice, or even myself. Silfar probed Ari's intentions while showing her respect and not directly refuting her decision to put Maxwell in charge of the New Republic military. Well, if the backbiting, squabbling group of archaic wannabe flyboys want to question my decision, then so be it. Colonel Turner is from Corellia. You said so yourself. And that is precisely why Maxwell should be given the promotion. I had no planetary affiliation when I took command of the New Republic forces, and Colonel Maxwell didn't either. He will be well suited for the position, free from political sway and homeworld loyalty such as Colonel Turner would be to Corellia and Senator Charles Sybil. General, I thought Colonel Maxwell was from... Silfar began. Alderaan, Ari finished. If memory and history serve me correctly, the planet was destroyed by the first Death Star when I was but 19. And you weren't even a twinkle in your daddy's eye, Micron threw at him, grinning, his arms still crossed. The general glared at him. As for you not being promoted, you know as well as I do that naval reservists are not eligible for promotion to the President's Cabinet and the Joint Chiefs. You are not serving on active duty, General, and thus not eligible. You can only throw your weight around with my husband because he is a retired commander. However, you will not be able to do that with me upon my retirement because I retire from a higher-ranking position with more tenure than you do or will ever have, General, Ari continued. Silfar's anger grew and then faded as he swallowed his pride. I have business to attend to before the ceremony. General, if you please. Aye, General, but if I may inquire about your condition first? Silfar was stalling. It's nothing. A simple pulled ligament. I will be fine by the time of the ceremony. You are dismissed, Ari ordered. General Silfar gave her a salute and then stepped to the door. Oh, General? Micron called after Silfar. He turned to look back. What is it, Commander? Silfar's spit had returned. Tell no one what you saw here or discussed within this room, or you will have me to deal with personally, Micron threatened, a rogue grin on his face as the general stormed out of the office. What was that all about? Turlon asked as he and Callista entered the room, looking after the angry general. Nothing, dear, Ari said, returning to her normal tone for family and friends. You summoned us? Callista asked. Yes. Sit down, both of you. We are going to try something together to get your grandmother back on her feet. Micron began to explain how they were going to heal Ari. She buttoned the top button to her collar and adjusted her epaulets and the medals hanging on the left tack-in bar. Her hair was pulled back into a tight bun, and her officer's cap was snugly fit on her head, the brim resting an inch above her brow. White gloves covered her hands, and her black officer's shoes were polished to a high gleam. Her gray slacks had been freshly pressed, and the lint and dust had been removed from her jacket. The gray military jacket with silver trim featured her pilot's wings, general stars, Phoenix Squadron patch, her campaign medals, honor medals, ribbons, and bars, naval strips conjoined with army chevrons and honor cords. She looked herself over in the mirror and inhaled deeply, her military regality returning in a serious look and stance. She was the head of the New Republic Galactic Defense. She was the highest-ranking officer. She was the Phoenix. And she would be retiring from it all. Micron was also in full military dress, his retired commander's uniform having been freshly spruced up and hemmed for his wearing. Because he had been in the New Republic Navy before Ari took directive action to combine the Army and the Navy into the single-armed forces, Micron's uniform was that of a traditional naval officer, brilliant white with gold trim. Damn, I gotta lose weight, Brink swore as he barely managed to button the collar button on his naval uniform. His, too, was the traditional white before the forces had been merged under Ari's command. Micron laughed at Brink's comment. You're just getting old, space rat. You ain't far behind me, kid, Brink retorted, calling Micron the one thing that would set him off. Hey now, just you wait, Micron began. Stop it, both of you. Or do I have to demote you and make you sit in timeout? Ari laughed, coming between her husband and her best friend. They both laughed. Leave it to my Miss Straka Arun to settle all bets, Brink laughed, with his brogue accent coming through. You're buying when this is all over, Mikron warned. Yeah. Buying like hell. They have an open bar tonight, courtesy of the lovely General Din, Brink mocked, making a half bow in Ari's direction. Force have mercy on us all. I forgot the squadrons would be at the O Club tonight, and the drinks are free. That'll make for one hell of a party, Ari sarcastically replied, rolling her eyes as she smoothed out the wrinkles in her uniform. And all in your honor, love, Mikron said, giving her a mischievous grin. Let's go, or we'll be late, Ari said, before she led the two out of her office. Mikron stepped out first, and then Brink helped Ari out of the speeder. Mick offered her his elbow, and she took it, staying on his right side. Brink stepped to her left, but didn't offer his elbow because he was her honor guard. Squadrons! Attend! Hut! Brink barked the order, and the rows of squadrons, troops, and military officers came to attention in front of Ari. They were partitioned on either side, a clear path to the parade field where the New Republic President Donach, his cabinet, and joint chiefs of staff were waiting. Honor guard! Forward! March! Came the command. In front of the squadrons at attention stepped a row out on each side, bearing traditional military sabers sheathed at their waist. At the very end of each row of honor guards were Callista, Turlon, Einar, and Stefan, 2 on each side. Present arms! Came the following command as the honor guard drew swords and raised them in front of their face, the blades vertical. The Jedi held their unlit sabers before them, also at attention. Arms in honor! The swords were then moved from the attention position to overhead, forming the arch of sabers. The Jedi ignited their sabers, forming the end of the arch. Somewhere in the background, the New Republic Armed Forces military cadence played. With Brink at her other side, Mikron led Ari down the arch of sabers until they reached the semicircle formed at the end of the arch by the President and his cabinet and the Joint Chiefs. She had actually walked. Mikron released her arm, and Ari saluted the President. He returned it, and then she saluted the members of the Joint Chiefs, whom she was still superior officer to. The President then made a fine speech about Ari's military service, career, and accomplishments. Geez, I didn't know he was going to be this long-winded, Mikron sent to his wife, who did her best not to smile since she was at parade rest beside the podium. Donach has always been long-winded, she sent back, catching the smirk crossing his face. When this is over and we've had a few drinks, I'm taking you back to your quarters, and I'm going to slowly remove every single piece of uniform and ravage you like a madman, Mikron coyly sent back to her. He could see her swallow hard at the thought that her husband had placed in her mind. Don't you dare! I'm supposed to look serious up here, she threatened silently. Her face remained stoic in military form. Mikron smiled to himself as he thought of more ways he could cause his wife to break her serious look, while the President rambled on about his wife's military genius. Finally, the President finished, and Ari was called to attention as she accepted the flag of the New Republic. She held it proudly before the massive military assembly. They all saluted. She then handed it back to a lower-ranking officer to hold until she was prepared to officially relinquish it. Colonel Maxwell, attend hut! She commanded. Forward, march! Have a good night, Scion. Get some good sleep. Maxwell stepped forward from the President's entourage and saluted Ari, who returned the salute. Colonel Maxwell, please raise your right hand. She began by leading Maxwell through the New Republic oath of military office. Have a good night. There we go. Ah, I can't type. There we go. When they had finished, the captain, holding the New Republic flag on staff, handed it back to Ari. She took the flag, raised it for a moment, and then lowered it before handing it to Maxwell, who accepted it. "What are they doing, grandfather?" Turlon sent to Micron. "Chains of command, kid. The superior officer must give the flag of the New Republic to the inferior officer as a sign of the lower officer taking the higher-up's command," Micron silently explained. He assumed Turlon understood when he didn't ask any more questions. Ari turned to face the squadrons and the assembled troops, saluted once more, and then her last salute to the president before Micron led her back down the Arch of Sabers with Brink at her side. She was officially retired now. Damn, I remember why I retired. Damn uniforms would make anybody get the hell out. Brink laughed, yanking at the collar of his dress uniform before removing the jacket and setting it on a bar stool. "What will the general have?" Brink called to Ari, who had already moved her cap and dress jacket. "Kashaki and whiskey. Hold the rocks," she called back, smiling. Jedi, friends, and family surrounded her in the officer club for her military reception. "What do you have, love?" Ari asked Micron. "Wyvern's Reserve, if they've got it," Micron grinned. "On the rocks and in a dirty glass." Ari arched an eyebrow questioningly, and the rogue shrugged. "I'm feeling like something strong enough to be substituted as starfighter fuel." "Oh, the ceremony wasn't that bad, was it?" No, Micron answered as he took his glass and downed some liquor. It burned its way down, warming him but doing nothing to quell the chill creeping through his soul since the end of the battle on Mist. Just wanted something strong. Will you guys excuse me for a moment?" The rogue took his glass and disappeared through the mass of people. After a moment of silence, Stefan finally spoke. "Did anybody else find that incredibly strange?" "Something's not right with him," Einar said as he sipped at his drink. "Yeah," Nick added as he looked at his chrono. "It's been 10 minutes since this party started and he hasn't caused a scene. Something is definitely wrong." Ari looked puzzled as she stared at her husband's retreating back. He nodded at the door guard and slipped out of the room with glass in hand. "Would you like us to tail him, my lady?" Vince asked as he appeared at Ari's side. "We can keep to the shadows if you like," Nick added. "Make sure he stays out of trouble?" "I'm not sure," Ari answered slowly. "There's something... I don't know. His mind is all locked down. I can't even sense what he's feeling right now. He's usually a lot more open." "Not to worry," Vince reassured her. "Nick and I can get him out of any trouble he might find himself in. And I may actually know where he's going." "All right." Ari waved a hand dismissively. "Just be careful. He may not want company right now." His feet were planted firmly on the rooftop ledge of the Imperial Palace. He gazed into the distance and watched as Coruscant's sun slipped behind one of the large towers on the jagged horizon. The wind kicked up, and he swayed slightly in the breeze. The smoke from his cigarette pirouetted in the air before disappearing on the wind. His mind wandered as he paced to the ledge, a display of carelessness that most would attribute to his roguish ways. But there was something else there, something more elusive. Zenny, welcome in. Good to see you. I know it's kind of late for you, but welcome in. And I apologize in advance if I missed shouting anybody out or greeting anybody. I do not appear to have a mod this evening. Yes, I am doing all right. I'm a little achy this evening, but I'm doing okay. He had just taken part, a rather big part, in one of the fiercest battles of his life, and now that it was over, well, what was he to do? How exactly is one so accustomed to fighting to live when there is no great war? Peace, while the goal of every warrior, can leave those same warriors lost. How do you pick up the pieces of a broken life when they were scattered on the winds before it even began? Hi, Taba! Welcome in. He'd spent little time dwelling on the past. He didn't know who his parents were and had never had the chance to really think about it. He was always moving, living in the now to survive for the future. That future looked like it was now, and he had nothing to do but look at the past he left behind. Why had his parents left him there on that forsaken planet? Who were they? Where were they from? Where was he from? Many a poet has fallen to their untimely deaths by pacing that very wall, a voice called to him, and he turned to the speaker. Nick and Vince were on the roof with him. He hadn't even sensed them approaching. "The wind," Nick said. "It can get nasty up here." Mick let the empty glass fall into the chasms of Coruscant, lit another cigarette, and hopped down onto the roof. He looked at the two rogues standing across from him and shook his head. "Did Ari send you?" "Partly," Vincent Rain shrugged. "It was our idea, though. You were not your normal self, and we are curious about the reasons behind this melancholy." "I appreciate the gesture, guys, but I'm fine," Mick said as he moved to pass them. Nick put an arm out, blocking the rogue's escape. "It's a good thing you're not that bad of a liar when you play cards. You'd be broke. What's going on?" "It's nothing I can't handle," McRon replied with a bit of an edge to his voice. "Hey, pal," Nick said. "We're your friends, remember? We want to help." "Well, you can help by letting it be," Mick answered as he pushed his way to the turbolift. "I can handle it. I just need some time to think. Stop worrying so much, and tell Ari the same." "Why can't you tell her?" Vincent asked. "I'm going for a walk," the rogue replied as the lift doors closed. Nick gave Vince a concerned look and shrugged. "Do we follow him?" "I'm not sure," the mercenary answered. Something is going on behind his eyes. I think I felt pain, but it was a different kind of pain. It's hard to describe. "Yeah," Nick sighed. "Let's go find Ari. We'll tell her what we think and then see if we should try to pick up his trail. He may be right. He might need to be alone. Or he might still be playing the hero and shielding us from his pain." Vince nodded as they summoned the next lift. They rode in silence to the officers' club and went in search of Ari. Stefan leaned back in his seat, Catherine enjoying a glass of water on his lap. He smiled as he enjoyed the festivities and the pilots making fools of themselves. Andrea and Edward sat with him along their table, his daughter not really up to dancing just yet. Jade was enjoying a few laughs and conversations with Ari, one mother to another. Brink's wife, Nib, showed up for the ceremony, and Irina came along with her. Irina was now dancing with Rhinius out on the floor. He knew Brink had had the father's talk with Rhinius on New Hope shortly before the battle over Mist. And if he remembered the way Brink looked afterwards, his son had done more than pass the test. "Enjoying yourself?" "I thought I felt you coming," Stefan said as he looked behind him and saw Mather Payne walking towards him. He was in Katani dress black, his medals and service ribbons decorating it, but instead of 4 gold bars against the red field of his collar, Stefan noticed a single star. "Excuse me, Admiral Payne." "I received the Rear Admiral ranking after Endor," Payne said as he shook hands with the Jedi Master. "We thought we would show the General our respect by showing up." "We?" Stefan asked. "Some of the other commanders," Payne said, indicating a few Katani officers in black dress talking with different New Republic officers. "Ah, I see," Stefan said as he grinned at his friend. "So you had a backup reason for having Kier following along behind us." "My apologies, Master Jedi," Payne said, laughing. "Better to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I was going to have the whole group provide escort, but it was Reitman's idea." Payne pointed towards Kier's commanding officer. Stefan grinned and shook his head as he looked around the room. When he saw Nick and Vince coming back into the hall, the looks on their faces told him a different story from the party's atmosphere. "Excuse me, Admiral." He crossed the room and approached Nick and Vince before they got over to where his wife and Ari were sitting. "What's wrong, Vince?" Vincent looked around before leaning in to speak quietly to the Jedi Master. "It's a personal matter that we need to discuss with Ari," he whispered. "I'm sure you've sensed it. There seems to be something amiss with the conduit. Nick and I tried to ask him about it, but he refused to speak with us on the matter. Something feels off. Stefan nodded as Vince and Nick quietly told him what had happened on the rooftop. We need to speak with Ari, Nick said as he began wading through the sea of people. Then I think we're going to tail him. I'm going to get some water. Please feel free to play with the toys. I have various commands. Some redeems, I think. Yeah, there's some channel point redeems. I can't remember what all the commands are, but they are down in the About panels below if you would like to take a look. Have a little fun. Yes, hi Taba. Welcome in. Give me one sec. Okay. Oh, yes. Posture check, thank you. I'm shrimping. Part of that's because my back hurts. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated. I sit all day, so actually having the posture check and stretch redeems, I think I was stretch redeem, those are important for me. Pretty much all of my redeems on my channel are self-care. So, yeah. Because I do a lot of sitting at work. Alright. Thank you very much for that posture check. I appreciate you. Alright. Einar struggled against the habit of drinking from a glass using his right hand. He had already shattered one. He sat at the bar and drank from his glass of ruby blues. He wasn't really in a mood to celebrate. It was the end of times. He sipped slowly from his glass and let his mind drift. The battle still weighed heavily on him. He could still hear the screams of Jedi who fell in battle. Excuse me. Einar snapped out of it and looked up. The young woman serving at the bar smiled at him. Can I fix you up with something else? Einar looked at his glass and found it to be empty. He then looked up at the young woman and shifted in his seat. What about some whiskey? Any kind. On the rocks. The young woman smiled and left to pour him the drink. She's cute. Einar looked over his shoulder at Stefan, who stood there grinning, deep in discussion with a Katani admiral. Oh, I didn't notice, Einar replied to his friend while accepting the new glass of whiskey from the young woman. You're Jedi, right? She said, leaning against the table and smiling at him. Einar shifted in his seat and nodded. Master Algernon, he said, and extended his right hand, but quickly pulled it back when he saw the look of shock on her face. Her gaze steady on his metallic prosthesis. Einar picked up the glass again with his left hand and downed it as he turned around and grabbed his walking stick. I have to go. Stefan looked away from Nick at the sudden motion that caught his eye and saw Einar starting to walk away from the bar. The look on the bartender's face showed shock. The arm? He then watched as Einar left the room, and Stefan couldn't help but feel remorse for his friend. The casualties weren't just at Endor, or Renvar, or Mist. They'll stay with those who survived for the rest of their lives. So, how did you enjoy studying at Templar Academy? Renius asked Irina as they slowly danced on the open floor. It's a very scholarly academy, she laughed, and Corellia is much different than I thought it would be, more tradition and such than Coruscant has. Will you be returning to complete your degree? Renius asked. A smile crossed her face. That is one of the joys of being half Kashakian. She grinned. I've already graduated. Oh, where will you go now that you've graduated? Renius changed the question. And there's an ad, and I'm going to stop right there. So, where did an ad? Water break. And apparently I'm getting jazz. Okay. Alright. Yeah. For anybody who can hear me, please take this time to stretch, get a drink of water, get a snack. That's part of the reason why my ad breaks are a minute and a half. So you have time to do that. We should be back in about 30 seconds. I try not to read during these so that you guys don't miss anything. Yes. Grab some water. Have a stretch. Alright. Alrighty. And we're back. Alright. Oh. Where will you go now that you've graduated? Renee's changed the question. Oh, sorry. Well, there is a ladies' finishing school on Naboo, and, of course, Templar Academy on Corellia that I could return to. But I think that Father is leaning more towards my attending the Graduate Academy in Vistalopo. Well, Livda is near Catan, Renee slyly suggested. Irina laughed. Would that mean you would come visit me? Well, that is if your father would allow me to, Renee joked. Ari had noticed Einar leaving in a hurry and motioned for Callista to come over. Callista left Zan at their dinner table and came over. Yes, grandmother? Would you go check on Einar? I saw him talking to one of the O Club servers and he quickly headed out the door. Stefan said it had something to do with his arm. Would you be a doll and speak with him? Of course, grandmother. She leaned over and kissed Ari's cheek before walking out the door to find Einar. Ari herself had turned back to the group that was surrounding her bar stool, listening to her stories. Why, if it isn't the loveliest face to ever grace a military uniform, exclaimed a familiar voice. Ari looked up to see Senator Charles Asibel and his brother, General Eric Asibel. How did I ever guess that Corellia's finest would grace me with their presence? Charles, Eric, I'm glad you could make it. She laughed before hugging Charles and Eric, who kissed her hand lightly. It was a beautiful ceremony, Ari, darling, but a sad day for the Republic to lose such a strong leader and military genius, Charles replied. Charles, when will you ever learn that flattery will get you everywhere? Ari laughed. Oh, dear brother, the great general has done well in choosing her successor, I believe, Eric added. Yes, she has, Charles agreed. Colonel Maxwell will be wearing general stars before the year is out, I believe. He's a suitable fit, Ari, Eric replied. Are you two flattering me because you need a favor, or am I just radiant tonight? Radiant as always, darling. But yes, we do need a favor, Charles replied with a grin. What is it this time? Need some feathers smoothed in the Senate or another loan for military research? Ari joked. No money involved. Rather, it is about your husband. We are gathering several Force-sensitive individuals from Corellia and wish to have them trained as a Jedi. By him, Charles proposed. Welcome in. Welcome into the stream. Oh, I see. The conduit of the Force is a teacher on Corellia? Ari asked. Well, wherever he would agree to train them, Eric cut in. Well, the man you should actually be talking to is right over there. Master Stefan Card is thinking of opening his own Jedi school centered around the same principles my husband follows. Ari pointed toward Stefan across the room, who was at a table with his wife, daughter, son-in-law, and other Katani military personnel. Thank you ever so much for pointing us in the right direction. Charles thanked Ari, kissing her hand and smiling before he and his brother headed over to Stefan's table. Look out, Stefan. Corellia's finest have your number, Ari said, joking. She saw Stefan look up at the senator and general's approach and smiled to Ari. Nick and Vince cornered Ari, who was still at her bar stool, surrounded by several younger officers. Nib, Brink, and several senators as Ari was retelling some old war stories, making everyone hang on every word. Her smile slowly disappeared when she saw Nick and Vince approaching. "Excuse me," Ari said, pardoning herself from the group and stepping aside with Nick and Vince. "Did you find out what's wrong?" she asked in a low voice, eyeing the crowd for her husband's return. "That's a negative, ma'am." Vince shook his head, biting his lower lip once. "He's shut up tighter than a Hutt's coin purse," Nick threw in, shrugging his shoulders. "It's not like him to be like this. He never closes himself off from me. Never," Ari said, frowning. "I'm sure he'll warm up in his own time," Vince offered. "Maybe it's just post-traumatic stress disorder," Nick brought up, grinning. "It's no such thing. I've been in plenty of battles all my life and have never had PTSD, Ari angrily replied. Vince raised an eyebrow and Nick smirked, telling her all she needed to know. Her anger was a direct result of battle fatigue, as well as her previous temporary walking disorder. "Well, maybe a little," Ari conceded, "but I refuse to believe my husband would ever have PTSD. He's so much stronger than me," she ended in a whisper, her gaze trailing off. "And it's usually the strong, silent types who go psycho, flip out, and kill dozens of people before committing Hey! What was that for?" Nick began, but Vince nudged him in the stomach with his elbow, giving him the hint that he should be quiet. "I was just trying to be—" Nick argued. "Shut the hell up," Vince replied, not wanting to upset Ari. "I'm going to find him. He shouldn't be alone," Ari began, rising from the bar stool and suddenly grabbing the bar rail with her right hand, as her left hand grabbed for her abdomen. "What is it?" Vince asked, concerned, as he put an arm under Ari's left for support. "I'm going into labor," Ari breathed between winces of pain. "What?" Nick asked. "The baby is coming!" Ari yelled at him. The music stopped, and everyone, including the servers, turned to stare at Ari. "You heard the lady! Out of the way! The din baby is coming!" Vince ordered, helping Ari out of the O Club, Brink, Nib, Stefan, Jade, Turlon, and several others following. "I thought you had 3 more months!" Nick exclaimed in surprise as he walked behind Vince and Ari. "I'm Kashakian," Ari snapped at him. "Our gestation period is only 7 months, not 9 like other humans. The baby is a couple weeks early." "Oh, well, that makes sense now," Nick's comment sent Ari over the edge. "Find my husband now!" Ari yelled as Vince helped her into the medical ward. Nick and Vince left to find Micron, and Brink ran to get a doctor. "This baby is coming, and I don't think it has any plans on stopping," Ari breathed as Nib and Jade ushered people out of the medical room Ari had taken residence in. "You all can see the child when it's born. The General needs her privacy now," Jade told the growing crowd in the waiting area before returning to Ari's side. Brink stepped into the room. "Doctor will be here in a couple of minutes. Callista and Einar are on their way," he rasped between breaths. "Anybody find my husband?" Ari asked. I apologize for some scene skipping, just for how this was written. So there's going to be a little bit. Let's see. "Master Alderaan, are you all right? Ari was concerned for you. Is there anything I can do?" Einar turns towards Callista and sighed. "It's just—" He stopped, sighing as he searched for the right words. She continued to listen quietly as Einar spoke. She knew he'd had to deal with much of this since Mist. "If there's anything that I can do," she trailed off, her senses flaring. "Ari, we need to get back. The baby's coming now." She turned and quickly sprinted for the med center, Einar right behind. They burst into the med center and were confronted by a solid wall of people. She almost started pushing through, but Einar gestured with his hand, and people simply moved aside, mumbling apologies. She glanced at him in wonder. She hardly even heard what they were saying. "Your pardon, Master Jedi. We didn't see you." After a moment, they were able to enter Ari's room. She immediately went to her grandmother's side. Even though the doctor was there, she knew she could still be of help. "Grandmother, what can I do?" "Get some of these people out of here," Ari said. She only wanted her granddaughter, Jade, Brink, and her husband besides the doctor in the room. Turlon would have to wait outside with the rest of the group. Nodding, Callista turned to Nick and Vince. Please go and find Master Din. He should be here for the birth of his child. She trailed off as she sensed him enter the med center and the crowd parting like the Red Sea before him. Never mind. Could you please make sure no one else comes in here? They nodded and went to stand outside the door to Ari's room. Mick entered, going right to Ari's side. Callista turned back to her after a moment. If you'd like, I can lessen your pain and put up a shield around the room so no one can hear or see in. Ari nodded. Please, do. Mick's knuckles were torn in places, his right eye was beginning to swell shut, and it looked like his lip was split. His spotless naval uniform was now covered in dirt, and Ari thought she had seen a few splotches of blood. The collar was undone, and the jacket was torn. Noting all of this for the first time, she pinned him with a worried look as he took her hand in his. Mick, what happened? The rogue gave her a quick grin, although it seemed rather forced. I think you have more important things to worry about right now, Princess, he said. I'll tell you about it later. The next contraction arched her back in pain, and she gripped Mick's hand even tighter. She bared down harder, and pain shot through her like white-hot lightning. She was sure she would break her husband's hand before this was all over. Something's not right. I've never had this much pain. Or blood, she said, noticing the blood-stained towels the nurse was using to sop up the table she laid on. Nothing's wrong with the baby, love. It's just been years since you've had a child, Micron tried to soothe her. Something's wrong, Micron. This never happened when I had Kevin, or Ian and Brandon as twins, Ari argued, wincing in pain. She was right. Micron knew it. Yes. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you, Taba. I hope you have a good night. She was right. Micron knew it. He remembered how easily her pregnancy and labor had gone with Kevin. She had barely been in labor for 2 hours when Kevin was born, a strong and healthy boy. He'd heard rumors from Brink and Nib about 6 hours of labor with the twins. No difficulty, though. But of course, she had given birth to the twins in the card home on Catan with Jade as a midwife. Now he sat beside his wife's bed with Jade and Callista on the other side and a nurse and doctor tending to her, wondering if perhaps his wife was right and there was indeed something wrong with the baby. I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit. There we go. You better not die on me. The thought quickly crossed Micron's mind, suddenly remembering all the stories Ari had told him of Kashakian women dying in childbirth. I don't plan on it, Ari sent back, squeezing his hand even tighter. After 15 hours of labor contractions, labor-inducing drugs, and pain-relieving waves from Callista, and an emergency cesarean section later, the doctor handed Micron a small bundle wrapped in a white towel. Everyone had been ushered out of the room by the doctor except Callista and Micron. A small-faced, eyes closed, nose wrinkled up, and a small, thin lining of dark brown hair like his mother's. Micron was finally holding his daughter in his arms. He hadn't held a child since Kevin was born, which had been nearly 60 years before. He shook his head at the thought. That time had passed so quickly while he had been gone, yet so slowly. Have you decided on a name? The nurse asked Micron. He'd been so enthralled at studying the tiny little face and hands that lay sleeping in his arms that he hadn't noticed the nurse's approach. He looked up as she asked the question again and frantically searched his mind for the name Ari had picked out months before, when Ari had first noticed a faint female force signature growing inside herself. He then looked over to see that Ari was sleeping, still under the forced trance that Callista had put her in so the doctor could perform the C-section. Yes, I believe we decided on Evelina Scarlet Din, Micron said, smiling down at his daughter. You are going to be just as beautiful as your mother, and you will be my little princess, Micron whispered to his daughter. He rose to his feet. He would have to show the crowd in the waiting room the latest addition to the Din family. Callista stood next to her grandfather, gazing out at the tiny baby he held lovingly. Leaning over Ari, she placed her hand on her grandmother's forehead, bringing her out of the trance. She then stepped back so Mick could place the baby in his wife's arms, watching as Ari's face lit up. Both Ari and Mick blazed like twin suns in the Force. Their joy and happiness were so intense. Reaching out to Turlon in the Force, she summoned him. Grandmother would like you to come in now. She opened a small hole in the shield, allowing him to enter the room, and then closed it again. She could feel the anxiety of everyone in the waiting room and turned once more to Ari. Would you like someone to make the announcement? I think you'd better let my husband announce the good news. I'm a bit worn out, Ari said softly, her eyes drooping heavily as she drifted back into sleep. She knew her husband would make apologies for her and introduce Evelina to the rest of the Jedi, family, and former officers who waited outside, anxious to hear the news. She also knew, once that had been done, her husband would return and tell her what had happened to him, why he was bruised and battered in the short hour he had been gone from the officers' club. Nodding, Callista turned towards her friend, collapsing against him after a moment. The strain of damping Ari's pain while keeping up the shield had worn her out. Turlon helped her to a chair in the corner and eased her down into it. He gazed at her with concern. Rest, Callista. Don't wear yourself out. He then sighed and rested a hand on her back momentarily as his gaze sought Zan's. He could see the older Mandalorian pacing a track on the floor of the waiting area. Sorry. Man, for a rimrat, space jockey, hut-loving flyboy with rocket fuel in his blood, you sure make some pretty babies. Brink complimented Micron's daughter as he slapped Micron on the shoulder. Congrats, man. Thanks, pal. You owe me a drink. Micron returned, grinning as he held his baby daughter in his arms. Drink hell. How about the whole damn bottle? Brink laughed. Sounds like a plan. Let me settle Ari in our quarters, and then I'll meet you at the Crashdown. The Crashdown Cantina was the traditional pilot's bar on the lower floor of Imperial Palace. It was a favorite hangout of New Republic pilots, both former and active duty, and most of Ari's former naval and army enlisted personnel. Most of the younger officers, several senators, and what few Jedi were left had all congratulated Micron on the birth of his daughter, Evelina Scarlet. After an hour of people gushing over how adorable she was, they'd gone their separate ways, leaving only family and closest friends with Brink and Micron holding his daughter in the waiting room. "Me in half an hour," Micron called over his shoulder to Brink as he re-entered the room where Ari had been assigned. Turlon and Callista sat in chairs near the bed, and Ari sat up as they discussed plans for later. Zan still lounged uncomfortably in one of the chairs in the waiting room. Now, my dearest, it is time to get you back to our quarters. If I leave you here in the medical wing, everyone and their mothers will be by to see you and the baby, and you won't get any rest, Micron said, before moving to Ari's bedside and lifting her, with the baby in her arms and settling them into a mobile chair. Sorry. He wheeled them out of the room and nodded to the doctor as they left, and headed to a lift that would take them to the presidential level. Here we are, my love, Micron sang to his wife as he rolled the mobile chair into their house. What have you got up your sleeve, Micron did? Ari asked. Nothing, love, nothing, he replied, smiling. Get some good sleep, Zenny. Have a good night. I know that tone of voice, Micron. You're going to the Crashdown, probably to meet up with Brink and Stefan, drink, gamble a bit, aren't you? Ari asked. Well, you caught me. You don't mind, do you? He asked, taking the baby from her arms, kissing Evelina lightly on the forehead, and then laying her in the bassinet beside the bed. No, of course not. Brink probably wants to buy the proud father a drink, Ari said as she kissed her husband's cheek, when he bent down to lift her out of the chair and into the bed. Thanks, babe. I won't be out late. I want to come back here and check on you, but I promise the guys, Micron said, smiling as he turned to leave. Hold it. mister. Ari's tone had changed, and McRun turned around to see what was the matter. You weren't going anywhere until you tell me why your uniform is in shreds, covered in dirt and blood, and you have a fat lip. What happened? And that is the end of chapter 17. Sorry. Dun dun dun. What's gonna happen? I will tell you that there was originally a third story in the series, but I didn't include it because I didn't write very much of it. So I have not included it. So that's all she wrote, at least for tonight. I apologize again for being muted for the first 15-20 minutes of stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'm just going to hang out and chat for a little bit. Feel free to ask any questions you have about the chapter, about the stories in general, about me as a streamer, about my writing process. That's what we're here for. So feel free to ask away, or we could just chat. That's cool too. And again, thank you so much to Stay Alive 7 and that big raid, and anybody else who's here, even if you're not part of the raid. I appreciate you. Thank you ever so much. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I had myself muted for the first 15 minutes of stream. I was like, what the heck? Oh, it happens. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Also, if anybody would like to do the meds command, actually, Geo, if you're still here, can you do exclamation point meds for me? Please and thank you. Okay. Actually, anybody should be able to do it right now, I think. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Stuff isn't working. Let's see. Yeah, if somebody would not mind doing exclamation point meds for me. Yes, it's been a busy day. I think part of it too is that I'm still hurting a little bit. I did something a little crazy at work yesterday. We have sit-stand desks at work, and I don't usually do a lot of standing. So thank you. I don't usually do a lot of standing at work because I have arthritis and all kinds of stuff, so it kind of hurts. So I didn't really think this through yesterday and proceeded to stand for 2 hours. I did move around. Yeah, I actually, yeah. But yeah, I kind of paid for that last night, so I took it easy today. So I'm a little sore still, but I'm doing a lot better than I was, that's for sure. Because last night was not very fun. So if any of you deal with sciatica or arthritis, I'm sure you can understand how I feel, or at least, So, give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab my meds. They're down here. Yes, I did a lot less standing today, and I'm going to... I'm breaking things. Not really. I have a... Where are we at? It is Wednesday. There we go. I have a little dispenser box, so that's what I was digging in right here. Yeah, so Note to self, and anybody in general, if you deal with arthritis and sciatica or any number of other things, be gentle with yourself and try not to overdo it. I did that yesterday. Yeah. Don't advise. Do not advise. So, highly recommend being nice to yourself and taking it slow because your body will thank you. Doing a lot better than I was yesterday, but still a little sore. So, oh my goodness, sorry. Yeah, I turned off the VIP requirement for meds. It was VIP or mods. Yeah. Yes. Wait. I think I know who that is. Did you change your name? I think you did. For those who don't know, me being Batman or anything of that nature is it's an inside it's an inside joke at work, because I'm always coming to the rescue. So that's how I kind of clued in on who that was. So it's an inside joke at work. Yeah. It's funny. So yes, I am going to pause and take my meds. But yeah, totally overdid it yesterday. But yes, I am a huge advocate for self-care. I may do stupid things occasionally, like yesterday. But that's because I'm stubborn and was trying to be proactive. But always make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Make sure you get lots of water, get good sleep, and take your meds if you have them. They're important. That's why I have a meds reminder on my channel, because sometimes I forget. Adequate sleep is super important. For me, especially because my immune system is rather a punk. And if I don't get enough sleep, I can actually make myself sick. For instance, when I was coming back from Wyoming, I didn't sleep for almost 48 hours. Not by choice. It was just how stuff was panning out with the situation. So I didn't really sleep. And yeah, made myself sick. Yes. Nope. No. We're gonna do like 10 minutes at a time. Yeah. Oh my god, Frosty Tools, I'm dying. Oh man. Frosty Tools. Oh, Frosty Tools, you make me laugh. Oh boy. And we're in an ad break. Sorry, guys. I can't type. I can't type. Mm. Alrighty. Should be back in about 50 seconds. Alrighty. Let's see. Let me take a real quick look at my... Oh gosh, make sure I'm clicking on the right thing. Let's see. Oh, looks like we're back from our ad. I was just checking the schedule for when I'm supposed to be streaming again, because I can't even keep track of that. It's pretty bad. For those who are interested in when I'm streaming again, I will be streaming again next Wednesday, so a week from this evening, and I will be playing SWTOR. I actually haven't been playing a whole lot of it lately because lots of other things have been going on. So I only have been really playing it on stream. Lately, what I've been doing is just kind of flashpoint runs with people in the community, which I have fun with that. If we could get enough people, we might do a story mode operation. I'm a big supporter of having fun. I don't like a game to feel like work. I do enough of that, so... I know! It feels like it's so far away. I thought I was gonna stream Sunday, but I don't do a Sunday stream until the 22nd? Yeah, something like that. So, Sunday a week. I know, it feels like forever away. If I could stream more often, I totally would, but then I'd run out of things to read to you guys. And that would be a problem. So... Yeah, for those who don't know, I do work full-time. I stream every Wednesday. I alternate between reading and SWTOR. And I also stream every other Sunday, where I do workshop streams for either my own work or if anybody in my community has stuff that they would like to work on or to get feedback on. So current schedule is every Wednesday, starting at 7 Eastern, and every other Sunday at 7 Eastern. SWTOR streams usually go for 3.5 hours. Reading streams are usually about 2, sometimes longer. I don't like to stop in the middle of a chapter, so... I was actually, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about maybe... I don't know, because the Galactic Archives thing is really, for me, it's really about the stories, which is why we're called the Galactic Archives. And I felt that SWTOR fit into that pretty nicely. There are other things that I would like to stream about. Oh, maybe. I could probably do that. I don't do tons of crafty things, but I like to color. I do like to sew, actually. Hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, not gonna lie. I was actually thinking about starting up a second channel, more focused towards, like the youth group work that I do. But maybe I don't know, I'll have to think about that. I've had a lot of people in the youth group sphere, a lot of people that I know tell me that they'd be really interested if I started doing some streams about that, or maybe stuff over on YouTube. Oh my gosh, I haven't cross-stitched forever. Yeah, so it's something that I'm thinking about doing, but I think that if I did that, I would start up a second channel for that because it's more focused. And I would probably do, um, I, I would probably do stuff more focused towards that. But I have been thinking about doing some general like crafting stuff. I would just have to think about when I could do that, because the way my schedule is right now. Yeah, the with things starting up with Pathfinders, literally Sunday. Just like, yeah. The year for Pathfinders is pretty much starting up Sunday, so it's gonna be busy. So for those who don't know what Pathfinders is, it is a youth group run by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's very similar to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, although it's more church focused. We learn a lot of the same things that Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts do. Camping, hiking, outdoor skills, survival skills, that kind of stuff. And I'm the director for a local club. So between September and the end of May, I lose half my weekends. It's not bad though. I actually really enjoy it. The kids that I work with are really awesome. Really, really great group of kids. And they really enjoy learning and doing cool crafty things, being outside. So yeah, it's super exciting. The challenging thing for me is keeping up with them all. Yeah, but that's what I do when I'm not working, when I'm not streaming. Yeah, that's the other side of me, and that's actually the shirt that I'm wearing. For those of you who know, I mentioned earlier that I went to Wyoming, the first part of August, and so actually this shirt is, there we go. This is the shirt for my union, which is six conferences. So there's like, I don't know how many states that is, but for instance, let's see, my local conference is like 3 states: Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and our union has 6 conferences. So it's a pretty big territory. So I was out there for, I don't know, well, officially 5 days for the Camporee, but I was actually out kind of traveling and stuff for like 11 days. So they do a really big Camporee every 5 years, so that's where I was. It's really fun. But let me tell you, keeping up with those kids, that's a challenge for me. But I have a lot of fun with it. I was able to find things that I could do. Got to meet up with some friends and some family that I hadn't seen in a really long time, which is one of the main reasons that I like to go to these big camporees. It's kind of a reunion for me, so that was really nice. Yeah, got to see some family I haven't seen in a really long time. So it was really nice. Really, really good experience. And I think that my 2 Pathfinders that went had a really good experience. They told me they did. So, so I'm really hoping that we'll have a good start to our year this year. And it kicks off on Sunday. It's going to be a little crazy. But I'm really looking forward to it. Alright. Let's see. Is there anybody I can raid tonight? Let's find out. Does anybody have a suggestion for somebody I could raid? What? Yo. I'm looking at my follow channels list. Nobody told me it was Kim's birthday. What? Okay. I am. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate you. I am trying to see if there's somebody that I could raid. But I haven't raided in a while. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna go right into Mega Queen. She's playing Palea. I haven't raided her in a while. Alright, let me give me a second to get this set up. I do not have a mod this evening, so please bear with. Alright. Okay, guys, I would really appreciate it if you could hang around for just a minute while I get this set up and tag along on the raid. This first raid command is going to be for anybody who is subscribed to the channel. If anybody who is not subscribed tries to use it, it won't work. Because there's subscriber emotes in there. No! No. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so that's the subscriber. I didn't just raid my own channel, really? That's the subscriber one. And that's the follower one. Let me just get this raid set up here. Alright. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated this evening. I don't have a mod, so. Alright. Okay, give me one sec here.
Rolling stool, enabling too much, and the wheels just kiltered. Oh no.
Alright.
Is it bad? I don't check Palyabu's announcements and just am
Okay.
like, ooh, present. No, you're totally fine, Bree.
I'm just getting the raid set up. Give me 2 seconds.
Like, cool. But if you're not, that's fine too.
Okay.
But yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
You guys, we have news of the Palya hunts. The Cernuk drops.
Okay, here we go.
The Mujin drops.
Okay, give me just
and
one
the Chappa
second.
drops have changed.
Alright, guys, if you could just
The
hang
first two
around.
levels used to be one
Okay, give me just 1 second,
drops.
okay? Thank you so much for everybody who's here. I appreciate you.
I appreciate
And I will...
They now change to 1 in
And I will
500.
see you guys next Wednesday.
Thank you guys.
Okay? I appreciate you. Yeah. Okay. There we go. See you guys in a minute.